Degrees of productivity. We can start it with two observations. Though many things are possible in morphology, some are more possible than others. Though there are infinitely many potential words in a language, some are more likely to become actual words than others. So, morphological processes do not fall into two neat categories, productive and unproductive, that which word is to be taken and which word is not to be taken. They are best seen as being spread out along a scale, with some more productive than other, right? So we can think of them on a continuum A and B. Some are more closer to A than B. There are a number of types of constraints that limit productivity. So we look at the constraints that contribute or even determine to what degree a particular formation is productive. So to enter a language, certain constraints are there. So a word has to face certain constraints. Let's look at these constraints which make them word productive or non-productive. Constraint on morphological productivity is phonological. So one of the constraints for a word to become, for a potential word to enter into the lexicon of a language is phonological constraint. Those that depends on the segmental makeup of the base. So the base is made so that it does not allow any foreign segment to attach with it. For example, modern Hebrew pet name suffix li, borrowed from Yiddish, it can only attach to bases ending in a vowel sound. If a base ends with a consonant, it cannot form a word. Similarly, second thing, those that depend on the suprasegmental makeup of the base, including stress placement. So sometimes the suprasegmental feature, the features superimposed on a base like stress, they determine whether the word is to attach with a certain segment or not. Suffixation in English is an example of suprasegmental feature. This suffix may attach only to verbs that are stressed on the final syllable. For example, arrive. So the arrive syllable is stressed, so you can add al, arrival. Similarly, denial, dismissal, rebuttal, etc. The third phonological constraint is those that depend on the number of syllables in the base. So, ish suffix has to be attached with a monosyllabic word. So, you can make it green, greenish, right? You cannot attach this ish syllable, ish to a word which has more than one syllable. So second constraint is morphological constraint. Productivity can also be limited by morphological constraints. A morphological process may require the base to have a certain structure, to belong to a certain morphologically or syntactically defined clause, such as gender, or to end in a particular affix. So this morphological constraint is also one of the problems for productivity. For example, first type, certain English suffixes such as ish attach only to unsuffixed bases. So they ish attach to a base which is alone, which does not have another suffix. Second type, affixes that attach only to bases that have a particular etymological origin, modern Greek, whereas the suffix doros may only attach to words of Romanist origin, thus combine doros. A basic type of syntactic constraint on word formation requires the base to belong to a certain lexical category. It should be a noun, a verb, an adjective, etc. For example, prefix re is attached to verbs, not to nouns. Verb semantic constraint. Productivity can also be constrained by semantic factors. So the meaning also has its place. Barker studies the English suffix e found in words like advisee, addressee, enlistee, employee, using a large set of naturally occurring examples such as the following. So this suffix attached with something that is naturally taking place. There was the avian influenza casualty who was replaced gallantly by an influenza recovery, Mr. Robert Harburn. Experiment involving shining lights into the subject's eyes. The adaptee then cannot tell the difference between yellow and white, is yellow blind. These young musicians were chosen from over 200 auditionees. The ground rules were simple: to find ways to relax that required absolutely no effect on the part of the relaxee. The paella didn't turn out very well, but unfortunately my dinees were quite understanding. Paella is a Spanish dish. Barker finds that E suffixation is constrained by three semantic factors. First, the referent of the newly derived noun must be sentient. Sentient means relating to feelings. Second, the referent of the E noun is typically characterized by a relative lack of volitional control. The dinees have no control over the paella they are served, and the adaptee does not manipulate the lights. Finally, the E noun and the stem must be episodically linked in parts. Episodically in parts linked. Barker gives the example of a noun, lessee, from the verb lease. Every leasing qualifies some individual as a lessee, and for every lessee there must be a leasing event which qualifies them as a lessee. He continues by pointing out that it is not the case that all adverbial nouns must be episodically linked to their stems. So these are the three constraints semantically on the word productivity. To summarize, if a language has two ways of doing something, one of which is less productive, the less productive rule or process has a linguistic purpose. The less productive rule may result in a word that stands out, useful in newspapers, magazines, and advertisements, or it may result in a form that sounds more technical or learned. So, the less productive role of a word has its own place, right? So, these are some of the factors, or we can say that these are three degrees of productivity that enables word to enter a lexicon of a language.